Hey there, Flesh and Blood fans. Joe here at Crack and Delay. As you can tell by what we have placed right here, we're going to be doing another box opening for Arcane Rising. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. So for starters, like I said, this is going to be one of the last videos in which I'm going to be doing a voiceover for. Like I said, the audio from the original video was kind of lost, or it was just kind of trashy, especially for this video. Um, I can at least say that these next videos that I will be doing for box openings will actually be a lot better because I did order some equipment for both lighting and for recording. The lighting in this is a little bit better than the first video. I know it was a little bit dark and stuff like that, but I have been working on it in terms of looking to get newer stuff. But yeah, I'm just trying to see how much people like these kind of these voiceover videos just to see how it fits. I don't plan to do it continually. I don't think people tend to like it. I think they like more of a live reaction thing to these kind of box openings. And it definitely would have been pretty good to hear the live reaction for this box opening because my luck seems to be continuing with Arcane Rising. Mainly Arcane Rising. Not really any of the other sets. But as you saw in that first pack, just a rare. Second pack, super rare. And then the follow-up, second pack, get a legendary. Storm Striders. Um, I think in this card game I've had pretty decent luck with legendaries. So in terms of me having to like buy some for decks, I haven't really had to buy any. I can't really say the same for Crucible War. I have only opened one box of Crucible War, and you've all seen the price. It's all very high right now, but it's understandable because it's first edition. People want to collect it. But to start that box off, it did go pretty well. Anyway, continuing on. For like future Flesh and Blood. I do plan to continue playing it. I did go to an event. I'll touch on that a little bit later. Um, but I plan to at least keep one or two decks, and then as sets come out, either update or continue on. Um, I did mention in the last video that I will probably want to do deck profiles. I haven't done a deck profile for a card game. I used to have a different YouTube channel in which I did deck profiles for when I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger and more active in card games. But I guess I will, because I have had people say they would want to see some deck profiles for Flesh and Blood, and I did look, and it seems deck profiles seem to be like the one thing that's kind of lacking, or people kind of don't have an idea of like what they want to do. But like I have seen there are some pretty good YouTubers. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I know one of them is Red Zone. Red Zone's pretty good with it in terms of like doing some deck profiles. I think the other one was D Armada, if I remember off the top of my head. In terms of deck profiles, here I can actually check real quick for you guys. But yeah, in terms of like looking for deck profiles, they do kind of put them up. Not necessarily in terms of, I guess I don't want to say variation, because they do some of them are like pretty cool builds because you can have a variety in terms of like how you want to play these decks. Like an example is I like one of the decks I'm making is Mechanologist, and you can play it in like either like you can go maximum velocity, and like that can be your play card in which you're trying to just play off that and just try and do as much damage with that, or you can do like little bursts of like the plasma pistol. You can do the plasma pistol hits, or even for like ninjas you can do a little bit of what was it you can do you can try comboing off and stuff like that, or you can do more of a generic action and just have like one or two combos. But like I said, I'm still learning, so I'm still fairly new to it, so the deck profiles may be more of a thing for the future rather than early on now. But yeah, and like looking back at this box, so far this box has actually been pretty good. We did hit another Majestic, which is Arcane Ascendancy. In terms of just how like that card is, it's a pretty good hit. If you did want to make Arcanites, you definitely play that card. In terms of Majestics, could have been a little bit better. I don't remember exactly because I did open this box, I believe over the weekend, or no, not over the weekend. I opened it last week. I opened this when I cracked Modern Horizons, which was also a good video. You can check back on that video. I'll leave a link for that in the description if you do like Magic. But yeah, I've generally been enjoying Flesh and Blood. It feels really nice and refreshing to be playing a new card game. Uh, it's definitely different. It feels like I said, does feel like Duel Masters. I'm not gonna touch back on this because I did talk about this in the last video. But it does have a familiar feeling with like card games that I played when I was younger, and it does feel nice to play as opposed to Magic, which is something I tend to play a lot. But yeah, continuing on, for this is also kind of be like not really a rant video, but like discussion about like things to come in terms of Flesh and Blood, what needs to change and what needs to happen in order, for my opinion, for it to become a stable card game. Because right now it is definitely, I believe, a bubble. In terms at least of the collectability market, the first edition stuff. I think they're being very smart in terms of keeping first edition as this limited print run, but I think in terms of first edition cards, they need to before they release first edition card like the print, I think they need to have unlimited just about ready to go out. And I do know that they're a brand new company. I do know that they're like what they're using is a small printing company. But you know, it does need to improve in order for them to continue on. My mindset is kind of along the lines of if they do continue on with this, like the idea of first edition being such a low supply and unlimited being like more the the community set, which is smart. My mindset was I would think if a set comes out and it's only first edition, then in terms of tournaments, they shouldn't be it shouldn't be illegal because it's technically not a wide scale release. Some people may not like that because some people may want to buy the set, like the first edition set, just to have it and play the new cards. But in terms of it being widely available to players, I think it's just too hard. But they can't, if they print too much of first edition, the market will get oversaturated and people are just going to start dumping, which you don't really want to see, because then it will just be a repeat of how Force of Will was. Continuing on, like I said, they can still do really well in terms of a competitive market, and it's kind of, at least in my area, I am from the Midwest, and we did just come out of some COVID restrictions, so I do know card shops are opening back up, and I do know a bunch of them are starting to do events. It is a little bit rougher though, because not a lot of card shops have armory kits or events, so a lot more card shops need to get quote-unquote sanctioned for it. But I think as time continues, they will, and I am excited for that, because I am excited to play this card game a little bit more, aside from playing online. In terms of how the market is going, I think it's in a pretty okay spot for how the reserve list is, in terms of people who are going to be funding this game and keeping just like how Magic has their own market with their reserve list. This card game doesn't really have a reserve list, but their first edition print runs are kind of like it, because they're rarer. So I think that's a little saving grace for the game. But yeah, and just touching base with how this box is doing so far. As you can tell, we just pulled our foil equipment right there. Got a good amount of super rares, and they're not terrible super rares. They're pretty good for all tribes. So we have some for Arc Knights, we have some for Rangers, and some for Mechanologists that are pretty good. So overall, I would say this is a pretty good box. We only have one Majestic. I believe we have the last one coming up soon. Not to spoil, just spoiling a little bit. But on closing not arguments, but closing thoughts, I do believe that the market just needs to be careful, because I just have a terrible feeling that it may be just like Force of Will, Force of Will is still a fun game, but they lost so much trust with the player base just because they overprinted it, that I think, and look, we pulled a Teklo core. I needed that for my Mechanologist deck. But they overprinted it, and the player base just fell off so hard just because there wasn't really a market. So it fell down to the people who are really dedicated to it, which it's good that a card game wants to do that, but I feel like you also need to have that market in mind to support the card game. But yeah, thanks again guys for tuning in. This is Joe with Kraken Delight, and I'll see you guys next week on that video.